2.5 decades have elapsed since the untimely demise of England's Rose Princess Diana in a tragic accident. The somber image of her funeral lingers vividly in people's memory, marked by countless mournful faces and sorrow-laden flowers adorning the palace gate. Regarded as a profound tragedy, the media extensively covered Princess Diana's funeral, yet the surface narrative obscured much of the truth surrounding that fateful day in 1997. Today, we aim to unveil the concealed aspects of the royal family's experience during the mourning of Princess Diana. Let's begin. Diana's funeral, held on September 6, 1997, became a historic event, providing an opportunity to unite the royals, the British public, and the world in a shared moment of loss. The guest list was a testament to Diana's wide-reaching influence, as dignitaries and celebrities from around the world gathered to pay their respects. The funeral also witnessed moments of unexpected drama, including controversies over flags and protocol that added a layer of tension to an already emotional occasion. In the tumultuous aftermath of Princess Diana's sudden and tragic death on August 31, 1997, the organizers faced the unprecedented challenge of orchestrating a fitting farewell in a mere 6 days. The urgency was compounded by the immense public outpouring of grief, which raised the stakes for palace and government officials tasked with planning the details of the funeral. The limited time frame meant that existing plans, meticulously crafted for other members of the royal family, had to be adapted swiftly. The intricacies of royal funerals were not unknown to those responsible for orchestrating such events. Plans for the funerals and ceremonies of various royals had been in existence for years, with each plan assigned its own discrete code name. This level of preparation reflected the meticulous nature of the British monarchy, and it allowed for a well-organized response during times of unexpected loss. Town and Country reported that preparations for the Queen's death, codenamed London Bridge, had been underway since the 1960s when Queen Elizabeth II was in her 40s. This foresight extended to other members of the royal family, with unique code names assigned to their individual plans. For instance, when Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, passed away on April 9, 2021, Operation Forth Bridge, named after a bridge near Edinburgh, was set into motion. However, the plan implemented for Princess Diana's funeral bore the code name Tay Bridge, an homage to a bridge in Dundee, Scotland. The choice of this plan was not due to any particular connection between Diana and Scotland. Rather, it stemmed from the absence of a specific plan for her untimely death. Her passing was so sudden that organizers found themselves without a tailored strategy. Instead, they opted to use the plan originally crafted for another member of the royal family, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. This unexpected turn of events led to a peculiar situation where the Queen Mother, who was very much alive at the time of Diana's death, witnessed aspects of her own funeral plan being put into action. The Queen Mother would go on to live to the remarkable age of 101, passing away 5 years later. The use of an existing plan underscores the unprecedented nature of Princess Diana's death and the need to swiftly adapt to the circumstances to provide a dignified and organized farewell for the people's princess. In the aftermath of Princess Diana's untimely death, Queen Elizabeth II found herself facing accusations of coldness towards the famously warm and beloved princess. The public scrutiny reached a symbolic focal point at Buckingham Palace. The empty flagpole, which had traditionally flown only the flag of the monarch, the royal standard. This flag was a constant presence when the Queen was in residence, never lowered to half-mast, as the monarch is considered either present or not, and there is no middle ground of being half-present. The seamless transition of the flag to the heir upon a monarch's death symbolizes the continuity of the monarchy. However, the dynamics changed dramatically in the wake of Princess Diana's tragic passing. During the immediate aftermath, Queen Elizabeth II was at Balmoral Castle in Scotland, offering solace to her bereaved grandsons, Princes William and Harry. The absence of the royal standard at Buckingham Palace during this time was perceived by the public as a snub to Diana, intensifying the criticisms of the Queen's response. The turning point came on the day of Diana's funeral, a somber occasion that demanded a departure from centuries-old protocol. Breaking with tradition, Queen Elizabeth II authorized a significant gesture of respect. As she departed for the funeral, the royal standard, which usually stood proudly atop the flagpole, was taken down. In its place, the Union flag, the national flag of the United Kingdom, was raised to half-mast. This symbolic act marked a departure from the usual practice and conveyed a sense of mourning and solidarity with the nation's grief. This departure from tradition had a lasting impact. Since that pivotal day, the Union flag has continued to fly at half-mast over Buckingham Palace whenever the Queen is not in residence, breaking the long-standing rule of only flying the royal standard. The Queen's decision to extend this practice beyond the specific circumstances of Diana's funeral demonstrated her recognition of the public's feelings and a willingness to adapt to the evolving expectations of the monarchy. Queen Elizabeth II further emphasized her respect for moments of national mourning by authorizing the flying of the Union flag at half-mast on the first anniversary of Diana's funeral. This compassionate gesture became a precedent for other periods of national sorrow, including the aftermath of the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, and the London bombings on July 7, 2005. In each instance, the Queen's decision to fly the Union flag at half-mast reflected a nuanced understanding of the role of the monarchy in responding to the collective emotions of the British people. The most heart-wrenching and indelible image from Princess Diana's funeral, etched into the collective memory of onlookers, was the sight of her two young sons, William and Harry, walking behind their mother's coffin. At the time, William was just 15 years old, and Harry was a mere 12. This somber procession, a heartbreaking symbol of grief and loss, also included their father, Prince Charles, Diana's brother, Charles Earl Spencer, and their paternal grandfather, Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, who offered moral support to his grieving grandsons. Earl Spencer later reflected on this poignant moment, describing the walk as the most horrifying half-hour of my life. He emphasized that it must have been an even more agonizing experience for Prince William and Harry, bearing witness to the entire world, mourning their beloved mother. Earl Spencer revealed that he was told the brothers had chosen to walk with the coffin, a choice that was seemingly in line with Diana's wishes. According to him, Diana herself would not have wanted it this way. The brothers, however, hold somewhat differing perspectives on their role in the procession. In a BBC documentary aired in August 2017, Prince William shared that walking behind his mother's coffin was one of the most difficult moments of his life. He acknowledged the delicate balance between duty and family, expressing that it was something they had to do. In contrast, a few months earlier, Prince Harry had given an interview to Newsweek, expressing his belief that a child should not be asked to walk behind their mother's coffin. He remarked, "I don't think it would happen today." However, in the later documentary, Harry somewhat backtracked on his earlier statement, noting that he didn't necessarily view it as the right or wrong decision. He expressed satisfaction that he was able to participate in the funeral, indicating a nuanced perspective on a moment that was both deeply personal and unavoidably public. During the funeral procession for Princess Diana, a moment of significant symbolism occurred as the procession passed Buckingham Palace. Queen Elizabeth II, along with other members of the royal family, including Princess Margaret, stood outside the palace gates to pay their respects to the late princess. The details of this poignant moment were revealed in a book by Princess Diana's biographer, Andrew Morton, as excerpted in Town and Country magazine. According to Morton's account, Queen Elizabeth II bowed her head low as the coffin of Princess Diana passed, demonstrating a gesture of respect and mourning. However, Princess Margaret's response was notably more reserved. She barely nodded in acknowledgement. This subtle difference in their reactions hinted at underlying tensions within the royal family, particularly given Margaret's unique relationship with Diana. Morton's book further delves into the dynamics between Princess Margaret and Princess Diana. In an unexpected and somewhat surreal moment, just before the funeral procession reached them while waiting by the gates, Princess Margaret reportedly attempted to discuss the improvement of the bathrooms at Kensington Palace. This residence, located nearby, had once been the shared home of Margaret and Diana, who lived in adjacent apartments. The conversation about bathroom renovations in the midst of a funeral procession underscored the strained relationship between the two royal figures. The early days of Margaret and Diana's relationship did not foreshadow this level of coldness. Margaret, having experienced her fair share of turmoil with the British press, initially could relate to Diana's challenges in the public eye. Margaret had been the royal family member who frequently drew attention from the paparazzi in her earlier years. However, despite these shared experiences, Margaret's ultimate loyalty remained steadfastly with the Queen and the Crown. When Diana broke what was considered a cardinal, unwritten rule in the royal handbook by giving a tell-all interview on the BBC show Panorama, Margaret's allegiance immediately shifted. The interview, in which Diana candidly discussed her marriage and life within the royal family, was seen as a betrayal of the family's privacy. Margaret, in line with her loyalty to the monarchy, turned against Diana. Even in the wake of Diana's tragic death, Margaret's feelings remained unchanged, showcasing the enduring complexities and rifts within the royal family despite the shared grief over the loss of the people's princess. Princess Diana's sudden and tragic death in 1997 was met with an outpouring of grief and shock from the public, as she was widely regarded as one of the most relatable members of the royal family. In the days following her passing, a staggering display of public mourning unfolded. According to the New York Times, as many as 60 million flowers were laid outside Buckingham Palace by members of the public, creating a sea of floral tributes that reflected the depth of emotional connection people felt with the people's princess. The funeral procession itself drew an estimated 1 million mourners who lined the route to catch a glimpse of Princess Diana's cortege as it passed by. The sheer number of people expected prompted officials to extend the route to accommodate the overwhelming turnout. Prince William, in a 2017 BBC documentary, vividly described the intense emotions expressed by the public during the procession. Mourners were shouting, wailing, throwing flowers, yelling, sobbing, and some even fainted in the midst of the overwhelming grief. Prince William at the time found it difficult to comprehend how people who had never personally known Diana could be so profoundly affected by her loss. However, he later came to understand the global impact she had made and the deep connection people felt with her. The public response to Diana's death extended beyond those who could attend in person. As reported by the LA Times, shops and other venues across the country shut down in a gesture of respect during the funeral. Sports events were postponed or canceled, and even the weekly national lottery draw was called off. Throughout Britain, people participated in the minute's silence held at the end of the funeral as a collective expression of mourning. The scale of the global audience for Princess Diana's funeral was unprecedented. An estimated 2.5 billion people tuned in to watch the live TV broadcast, which represented nearly half the world's population at that time. Additionally, Diana's passing became one of the earliest internet events, as people connected online to share their stories, collectively mourn, and voice their concerns against the paparazzi, who played a role in the events leading up to the tragic car crash. Even in death, Princess Diana left an indelible mark on the British royal family, compelling them to adapt to the demands of the modern era. Traditionally, there were three types of royal funerals: a state funeral reserved for the monarch, a ceremonial funeral for the monarch's consort or heir, and royals who had achieved high military ranks, and a private funeral for others. However, Diana's changing status within the royal hierarchy complicated the usual protocol. After her divorce from Prince Charles, Diana's royal status diminished in seniority. Although she was no longer the future queen, her position as the mother of the second in line to the throne meant that, conventionally, she would be granted a private funeral. However, her unparalleled popularity with the public demanded a departure from tradition, resulting in a much larger and more public send-off. A spokeswoman for the palace acknowledged this departure from the norm, stating, "This is a unique funeral for a unique person." Charles, Diana's ex-husband, also played a role in shaping the funeral arrangements. According to CNN, 2 days after the funeral, a British news show reported that Queen Elizabeth II had initially preferred a small, private funeral for Diana. However, Charles, along with Prime Minister Tony Blair, recognizing the overwhelming public grief, decided that the funeral needed to include a public component. This decision marked a departure from the traditional protocol and underscored the extraordinary circumstances surrounding Diana's death. In the aftermath of the funeral, rumors circulated that there had been disagreements within the royal family regarding the scale and nature of the funeral. Some reports suggested that the Queen had favored a more private event, while Charles and Blair advocated for a more public and inclusive farewell. The palace, however, swiftly issued a statement denying these rumors and dismissing supposed incidents accusing the Queen of being reluctant to pay tribute to Diana, as reported by the New York Times. Princess Diana's death not only prompted a significant departure from traditional funeral protocols, but also fueled public discussions about the evolving role of the monarchy in the modern age. The unprecedented public response to Diana's passing forced the royal family to navigate a delicate balance between tradition and the changing expectations of the people they serve. In the wake of Princess Diana's tragic death, the royal family found themselves grappling with a tangible expression of the public's overwhelming grief. Numerous books of condolence. These poignant collections of heartfelt messages and tributes served as a physical outlet for mourners to share their sorrow and pay respects to the beloved people's princess. St. James's Palace, where Princess Diana's body was held in the private chapel before the funeral, became a focal point for the outpouring of public sentiment. Thousands of people from all corners of Britain made pilgrimages to St. James's Palace to stand in line and pen their messages of grief in the condolence books. The lines were reportedly so extensive that mourners endured waiting times ranging from 6.5 to 12 hours, as reported by the BBC. The palpable sorrow and immense crowds underscored the profound impact Diana had on people's lives. By September 5th, just 1 day before the funeral, there were already 43 books of condolence filled with messages from the public, and the count continued to rise. Additionally, condolence books were strategically placed in British embassies and consulates worldwide, allowing those outside the United Kingdom to share their sympathies. Beyond the physical books, people across the country signed condolence books in various locations, contributing to the collective outpouring of grief. These books were eventually consolidated and moved to Kensington Palace, adding to the repository of messages that bore witness to the deep emotional connection between the public and Princess Diana. As the world grappled with the loss of a global icon, some individuals embraced the emerging era of technology to convey their condolences. According to the LA Times, the royal family's website received a staggering 60,000 virtual messages of condolence, a noteworthy feat in 1997 when the internet was not as ubiquitous as it is today. This digital avenue of expression highlighted the evolving ways in which people sought to connect and share their emotions in the face of a tragedy that resonated far beyond the borders of the United Kingdom. Following Princess Diana's funeral, rumors circulated, as reported by CNN, suggesting tensions and clashes between the palace and Diana's family, the Spencers, over the funeral arrangements. Both parties vehemently denied these claims, with Charles Earl Spencer dismissing the rumors as laughable. Despite these public denials, it became evident that there were underlying complexities in the dynamics between the royal family and Diana's family. Earl Spencer's eulogy during the funeral service added another layer of intrigue to the post-funeral narrative. He commenced his eulogy by lauding Princess Diana's compassion and selflessness, acknowledging her as a human being of unique qualities. However, his words took a critical turn as he addressed the media's role in Diana's life and death. Earl Spencer pointedly criticized the relentless pursuit of Diana by the media, portraying her as the most hunted person of the modern age. The eulogy's final section, in particular, raised eyebrows and elicited applause from the public listening outside Westminster Abbey. Earl Spencer made promises to Diana, vowing that your blood family would do everything in their power to honor her plans for raising her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. He continued by stating that the family, like Diana, recognized the importance of allowing the princes to experience various aspects of life, indicating a departure from traditional royal expectations. Earl Spencer's eulogy was widely regarded as one of the greatest in British history, resonating deeply with the public. It was also interpreted as an accusation that the palace had attempted to constrain Diana's vibrant spirit metaphorically. The applause from the crowd reflected a shared sentiment among the mourners. Charles, Earl Spencer, later clarified that his intention was not to accuse the palace of trying to cage Diana's spirit. He mentioned that he had heard from Queen Elizabeth II, who, when asked about the speech, reportedly responded, "He had every right to say whatever he felt." This acknowledgement from the Queen indicated a degree of acceptance of Earl Spencer's expression of grief and frustration. Princess Diana's funeral became a poignant occasion, not just for the public, but also for members of the royal family, including her ex-husband, Prince Charles, and his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. Both used their outfits as silent tributes to the late princess, offering a nuanced and personal touch to the somber event. Prince Charles, in a departure from the British royal family's tradition of wearing black mourning attire, chose a navy blue suit for Diana's funeral. While this choice might have been perceived by some as unconventional, it carried a deeply sentimental meaning. Charles deliberately opted for the navy blue suit as a subtle homage to Diana, who had been a style icon in her own right. CBS News reported that the suit Charles wore was Diana's favorite, emphasizing a connection beyond the public eye, a personal acknowledgement of her influence on his wardrobe choices. On the other hand, Queen Elizabeth II used her jewelry to pay homage to Princess Diana. Known for her subtle communication through her wardrobe, particularly her choice of brooches, the Queen selected one of the Victoria bows brooches for the occasion. These brooches, shaped like bows and adorned with diamonds, were commissioned by Queen Victoria and held significant historical value. Shortly before her death, Queen Victoria designated these brooches as heirlooms of the crown, meant to be passed down from queen to queen or queen consort. The choice of the Victoria Bows brooch for Diana's funeral was a poignant gesture by Queen Elizabeth II. These brooches, with their symbolic significance, served as a link to a long line of British queens, including the Princess of Wales, who had never ascended to the throne. The brooches carried a historical resonance and represented a continuity in the lineage of British queens. Princess Diana's funeral service inside Westminster Abbey, a momentous event that drew global attention, hosted approximately 2,000 invited guests. The guest list, beyond the immediate royal family, featured a diverse array of individuals, including global dignitaries and unexpected notable figures. Despite not receiving an official state funeral, various countries unofficially sent representatives to pay respects to the beloved princess. Among these dignitaries, then First Lady of the United States, Hillary Clinton, played a prominent role. Representing America alongside her was former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger. The French president's wife, Bernadette Chirac, attended on behalf of France, the country where Diana had tragically lost her life. Notably, then Prime Minister Tony Blair and his wife Cherie were present at the funeral. Blair, who coined the term "the People's Princess" in reference to Diana after her death, delivered a reading during the service. The presence of 4 former prime ministers added a political dimension to the gathering. However, Princess Diana's appeal extended far beyond the realms of formal state business. The guest list also featured renowned figures from the entertainment industry. Movie royalty graced the occasion, including the notable couple at the time, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Accompanying them were Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg, and Sir Richard Attenborough, best known for his role as John Hammond in Jurassic Park. The inclusion of these prominent figures from the film industry highlighted Diana's widespread influence and impact. British entertainers also attended, with George Michael and Cliff Richard among the notable names present. Opera virtuoso Luciano Pavarotti, renowned for his powerful and emotive performances, added a musical touch to the gathering. Among the notable figures present at Princess Diana's funeral, the musician chosen to perform was her close friend, Elton John. The bond between Diana and Elton John had formed rapidly after they met at Prince Andrew's 21st birthday party. Their friendship was characterized by shared interests, including a mutual commitment to promoting AIDS charities. However, their friendship faced a significant strain when Diana unexpectedly withdrew from a photo book project aimed at raising funds for the AIDS Foundation, leaving Elton John puzzled. The abrupt decision led to a falling out between the two friends. It was only at another funeral, that of their mutual friend, Gianni Versace, that the rift began to heal. Tragically, Diana passed away just 5 weeks later. At Princess Diana's funeral, Elton John took the stage to deliver a heartfelt musical tribute. He performed an updated version of his 1973 song Candle in the Wind, which had originally been dedicated to Marilyn Monroe. For this occasion, John enlisted the help of frequent Beatles producer George Martin, who arranged a string quartet version of the song. The lyrics underwent a poignant transformation, with Bernie Taupin, John's songwriting partner, making changes to honor Diana. The iconic line, "Goodbye Norma Jean," was transformed into "Goodbye England's Rose," encapsulating the essence of the revised tribute. Overwhelmed by nervousness about potentially forgetting the lyrics, Elton John opted to use a teleprompter during his performance, as reported by Reuters. This live rendition at Princess Diana's funeral marked the only time he performed this updated version of the song live. However, when the recording was officially released on September 13th, it quickly became an unprecedented success. It not only claimed the title of the best-selling song of 1997 in the UK, but also secured its place as the best-selling song of all time in the country. On a global scale, it has been surpassed only by Bing Crosby's White Christmas. The proceeds from the single, a reimagined tribute to Diana, were generously donated to charities that held special significance for the princess. Elton John's moving performance at Princess Diana's funeral, coupled with the success of the song, added a poignant and enduring chapter to the legacy of the People's Princess. Princess Diana's funeral procession incorporated several elements deeply rooted in British royal tradition, with a mix of customary practices and poignant personal touches. One notable aspect was the use of the royal standard to drape her coffin, adorned with an ermine border. The royal standard is typically flown above palaces and the Houses of Parliament when the reigning monarch is in residence. In the absence of individual flags for certain royals, this flag is employed, as outlined by the Chicago Tribune. Each senior member of the royal family has their personalized variation of the standard, reflecting their respective ranks and titles. Additionally, Princess Diana's coffin adhered to another royal tradition by being lined with lead. This practice, common among members of the royal family, serves the purpose of better preserving the body over time. While the use of lead contributes to additional weight, it is considered a traditional measure for the deceased members of the royal family. However, amidst these established customs, Princess Diana's funeral possessed a unique and deeply personal touch. Before the procession through the streets of London to Westminster Abbey, her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, placed a touching white floral arrangement on top of her coffin. Accompanying the flowers was a handwritten envelope with a simple yet heart-wrenching message on it: Mummy. This personal gesture added an intimate and emotional layer to the funeral proceedings, highlighting the profound loss experienced by Diana's immediate family. Westminster Abbey, the historic final resting place for numerous notable British royals, such as Henry VII and Elizabeth I, does not house Princess Diana's remains. Despite Westminster Abbey's prestigious history, Diana's brother, Charles, Earl Spencer, initially intended to inter her at the family's vault in the local church near their childhood home in Althorpe. However, Earl Spencer made a decisive change in plans, opting for a more private and secluded resting place for his sister. The final decision was to bury Princess Diana on the private grounds of the Althorpe estate. The motivation behind this choice was to ensure that Diana's resting place would be shielded from potential disturbances by well-wishers. Earl Spencer, concerned about preserving her peace, aimed to create a space where Diana could rest undisturbed. Following the funeral in London, Princess Diana's coffin was transported 70 miles to the Althorpe estate. The interment took place in a private ceremony, attended solely by close family members. The ceremony was officiated by a priest who was a friend of the Spencer family. The chosen location for Diana's final resting place is on an island situated in a lake known as the Oval. This serene spot is surrounded by trees, some of which were planted by members of Diana's family, including her sons, as well as by the princess herself. The island features a statue and a small temple on the shore, providing a tranquil and contemplative setting for those who visit. While the island is off-limits to members of the public during open days at the estate, it serves as a private space for Diana's family to remember and mourn her. Alongside Diana, several family pets, including her cat Marmalade, are also buried on the island, as reported by the Chicago Tribune. The decision to have Princess Diana laid to rest in this secluded and carefully curated location drew some criticism. Nevertheless, Earl Spencer's primary objective was to provide his nephews, Prince William and Prince Harry, with a serene and private space to grieve their mother. The island on the Oval at the Althorpe estate stands as a beautiful and meaningful tribute to Princess Diana, where her memory is honored in a peaceful and familial setting. What do you think about the secrets of Princess Diana's funeral? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.